Welcome back to another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, I'm joined by Francis Melia. He's an online coach, he's a power lifter, and he teaches people how to get jacked, how to get in better shape. And he's a really interesting guy. He's from the UK and he's right now living in Venezuela. So if you're interested in the country of Venezuela, this is going to be the episode for you. This is a country going through a lot of interesting transition right now. It seems to be transitioning a bit towards a free market and everything like that. So it's going to be really interesting to hear about the situation on the ground in late 2022. Francis, welcome to the podcast. How's it going, man?
I appreciate it, man. I've been looking forward to coming on this. I seen your Twitter account a couple of months ago, and I immediately followed it because I was here in Venezuela, and I thought that this guy's interesting. He's got some very interesting points, and I have been looking forward to connecting. So thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and sorry if this is taboo, but we got to talk about your extremely sexy accent just to start it off. So, tell the people where you're from.
So I'm from the UK, but a city in the UK called Liverpool. Now Liverpool is a pretty distinct city in the UK. It's different than every other, shall we say, city. We have our own distinct accents. The people are slightly different, and we're separated from the rest of the country. So that's where my sexy accent comes from.
And to me, it sounds Scottish.
Everybody says that. People think it's like a mixture of Scottish and Irish, but it's definitely unique.
I love it, man. And where are you joining us from right now? So you're in Venezuela. Where exactly in the country, if you don't mind sharing?
So I'm nestled in between the Andes Mountains in a place called Merida. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, but
Mhm.
Merida.
Yeah, this is known as like a student city. There's a lot of students there, right?
I don't think there's as many as there was. That's what my girlfriend says. But there's still a fair amount of students here. The city as a whole isn't as busy as it might have been a few years ago.
And I know the OG Vance, who was the original writer for MyLatinLife.com. He had been to Merida some years ago, and he had written about it. And I know it's sort of, I guess, in like more of the safer part of the country. It's up in the mountains, and yeah, what's it like in Merida? Can you sort of paint a picture for us?
I'd say it's definitely probably one of the quieter places in Venezuela, even though I haven't been to all of the cities. I spent a couple of days in Caracas, which is obviously the capital of Venezuela, and you can notice a difference between Caracas and here. Here is a lot more quieter. I would say it's a lot more safer here. I think a lot of people seem to have left here and they now live in the States or they live outside of Venezuela just because of the way the situation was here a couple of years ago. People were forced to leave. So there's a lot of houses which are empty. So it seems like a lot of people have left, but the people who have left who have stayed behind here, they're living very well. And it's I would say it's quite a quieter city.
Yeah, and it's actually quite close to Colombia. It seems to be about a 5 hour drive from the Colombian border city of Cucuta.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Cucuta, or how did you actually like enter the country?
No, I haven't been there to Cucuta, but my girlfriend says about you can drive there and you can. There's another city on the outskirts. I'm not sure the name of it, but it has a place where you can go to specific malls where they have like new clothes and all that sort of stuff. Because maybe in Merida you can't get that stuff. So I know you can get outside the border that way, and there's a town. I'm not sure of the name of it, but I got here through. I went from the UK to Manchester, Manchester to Madrid. Then I flew from Madrid to Caracas, and then I had to get another plane from Caracas to here and Merida, and then it was like a bus through the mountains, like lots of bends and up and down through the night. It took like an hour and a half to get through the mountains on a bus, and I ended up here. So yeah,
That's amazing, man. And how long have you been in Venezuela now?
It's coming up to 8 months. I think I got here on the 3rd of March. So yeah, around 3rd of October or 3rd of November, it will be 8 months.
And how's it been so far? I mean, I know when we were talking in the Twitter DMs, you spent some time in Isla Margarita, which seems to be an extremely beautiful place. So you've been kind of splitting your time between the two, or
I've been here in Merida most of the time. We went on vacation to Margarita for 7 days, which was a couple of weeks back. But very beautiful place, Margarita. The island. It's not as busy as it once was, but it was for the time I was there. Everything about it was great. The beaches were fantastic. The food, and it was a good time while I was in Margarita. While I've been here in Merida, it's been great. The way I live my life is just I get up and I go and train. I come back. I'm on my computer working with clients, and just the food and the steaks or everything is cheap. You can get £2.2 or a kilo of steak for, let's say, $8. Now, when you go to the gym and you love your protein like I do, being able to get top quality steak for that cheap, it's a godsend. So everything for what I need here is just perfect.
Francis, tell me about the gym that you work out at. Paint a picture of what your how it paint us a picture of like your routine of actually going to the gym. Are you walking there? And then what does the gym look like? Does the gym have like good equipment? Are you bros with the people there? Are there hot girls? I don't know. Just like tell us a little bit about the gym vibe.
So the apartment that I'm in, it's literally 5 minutes walk to the gym. So it's just perfect for me. I come out of the apartment and within 5 minutes, I walk down to the gym. The sun is shining and cracking the flags most days. So you walk into the gym, getting a nice tan, and you walk into the gym, and the gym has an outdoor area upstairs, which is mainly for CrossFit, but you can still do all of your main things like squats and deadlifts. So I spend a lot of my time upstairs. I don't know whether you see it on my Twitter, but anybody listening to this, you can go and look at my Twitter with my training videos, and you can literally see the Andes Mountains in the background. So I squat and deadlift with the view of the Andes Mountains in the background. So it's pretty crazy, and I can train outside upstairs, so I can actually train actually in the sun if I want to. So it's just perfect. The vibe is just brilliant in there.
That's awesome. And just as an aside, because we lost you for like a second there, I'm going to leave it all in just because I think that's part of the authenticity of if it goes in and out, your audio of
Yeah.
just being in Venezuela. But you told me this offline, but what we're hearing in the background a little bit is there's parrots and just like birds chirping where you're at.
Yeah, so at this time every night, because the sun is starting to set now at 6 p.m., and there's lots of parrots in the palm trees, and they go crazy at this time every night. I think I don't know why they do it. There'll be somebody who can tell us that, but they go crazy at this time as the sun starts to set, and all I hear is the bird noises for like an hour.
That's amazing. So are you in kind of like an indoor outdoor type room right now?
Yeah, so our apartment is on the bottom floor, and we have like an outside garden area where we can have barbecues, and we have lots of plants and flowers and all that type stuff. So yeah, that's where you can hear the noise from.
Okay, dope. Yeah, it must be a vibe, man. You got the palm trees, a little breeze going, the wind is flowing, the birds are out. Must be nice.
It's a big difference to the UK. That's
And
all I can
so,
say.
sorry, and tell me more about the gym. So you said it's like a two-level gym. Does it have everything you need?
So it's a two-level gym. It has everything I need to get good training sessions in. But in terms of specific powerlifting equipment, it's probably not the best. But again, I didn't expect that coming to Venezuela to have all of the equipment I needed. But it's enough I can make do. So yeah, it's as a whole, it does the job for me.
And tell us a bit about like the other people that we're gonna find at the gym. Are there any foreigners there? Is it a high end gym or is it like super local? How much does it cost per month?
I wouldn't say the gym. It's not a low end gym. It's some of the locals who still manage to stay in Venezuela, and I think they may have a little bit more money about them. The clientele is just normal people, just normal men, normal women, and the gym costs, I think it's $35 a month. So it's for actually being here. It's probably expensive in terms for people living here.
Hmm.
$35, but in terms of the people in there, it's fine. The everyone everyone looks at me like I'm an alien because I just look completely different than everybody. So people are a little bit can be a little bit standoffish with me just because I think people think I'm Russian as well. You want to see the amount of people who said to me and asked, "Am I Russian?" It's crazy. So I must look Russian, but it's as a whole, the gym is great.
And so your last name is Melia, which is that like an Italian background or?
It's Melia, yeah, but it has like some sort of Spanish descent from generations ago. My great grandfather, I think.
Okay. And did you notice, like, are there a lot of Russians in Venezuela because of the whole, I don't know, communism ties or something? Like,
Well,
have you noticed?
that's what I got told. That's why people think I'm Russian because apparently a lot of Russians like to come here on vacation to places like Margarita Islands and the other one, Los Roques. A lot of Russians like to come here. So again, I must look Russian because I'm tall and jacked with blue eyes. People automatically think I'm Russian. So that must be the reason.
Yeah, fair enough. So safe to say you're the only gringo or foreigner at your gym.
Definitely. I think I'm the only gringo around here. I haven't seen anybody else. There's absolutely nobody else. It's just the locals, and then there's me. Everyone looks at me like I'm an alien, and I always get stopped by. It's funny. A couple of weeks ago, I get stopped. A lot of people. Everyone thinks I look like Thor or Chris Hemsworth. So there was a groups of little kids, and they were with the parents, and they were stopping and pointing, and they were saying, "Are you Thor?" And my girlfriend, she speaks Spanish and speaks English, so she was translating, but everyone thought I was Thor. So yeah, that happens on a daily occurrence here.
Yeah, and to paint a picture, so you're like, what are you weighing in at right now? Like 220?
Yeah, like 220, I'm like 6'4". So yeah, it's just everyone thinks I'm Thor.
Holy shit. Or do they think you're in the CIA?
Well, I'm definitely something that they're not going to be used to seeing around here. That's for sure.
Interesting. You're 6'4", dude?
Yeah, 6'4".
How did you meet your girlfriend?
We initially started talking on Twitter, and to cut a long story short, she went to Madrid, and I went from the UK to Madrid, and we met in Madrid. We spent a little bit of time there, and she come back to the UK, and then we made the decision to let's go to Venezuela because it was either we stay in the UK or we stay in Madrid, and I always wanted to go to South America. So we just thought, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just go back home to Venezuela, and let's just run with it and see what happens. And we're here now.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And so many questions, so many directions I could take this. And I want to like not be taboo at the same time, but I have to ask all these sort of like simple logistical questions just to sort of help paint a picture for people. Oh, maybe we could talk about Twitter for a second. So your Twitter handle is Coach FHM.
Yeah,
How long you been on Twitter for?
just over 2 years. I started posting towards the end of all the lockdown bullshit situations, which was much have been around July 2020, June 2020. So yeah, just well over 2 years.
And you're just about to crack 50K followers.
Nearly 50K. So yeah, but that has been tweeting every single day. I haven't missed a day for over 2 years, and that's the hack which people don't want to hear though. But it's just consistency with it.
And I think what's cool about it is you haven't played into the Venezuela gimmick, quote unquote, at all. Like it's literally all about working out. I think most of your followers probably don't know you're in Venezuela. You had that one tweet about like the vegetable markets, with which I think went kind of viral.
Mm.
But and I was trying to scroll and re-find it again, and I can't even find it. I just remember it. But other than that, it's literally just all about training.
Yeah, well, I didn't come here until I'd say March. So I think I had about I had 40K followers by the time I come here. So I'd already grew a big Twitter following before I moved to South America. So my whole what I'm trying to build, it was nothing to do with South America or traveling. It is just all fitness and training. And it's just now I've added this little bit of traveling to South America dynamic to my account a little bit. It's there, so it's just more experiences just to that I can talk about on social media, because as they say, to actually be interested on social media, go and do interesting things offline and then talk about it.
Hmm. And so, Francis, like, what other platforms do you have? So you have francismelia.com. You have the Twitter. Are you big anywhere else?
I'm not as big anywhere else, but I am trying to build. My Instagram has like just over 1,000 followers. I'm slowly building a YouTube account and a TikTok. Even though TikTok is poison, it's just I'm just posting videos on there just to try and grow.
So the YouTube is live right now.
Yeah, YouTube is live. I've got just over 300 subscribers, so not a lot, but I'm trying to build it.
That's awesome. And what's the name of the account on YouTube?
Coach FHM. It's the same handle as Twitter.
Coach FHM. Sweet. And I guess the same on Instagram as well.
On Instagram, it's Francis H Melia.
FHM Francis H. Melia.
Yeah, the H stands for Harry, so my name is Francis Harry Melia.
What does like your family think all of this with the Venezuela? Were they kind of freaked out?
They wasn't freaked out. It's just it's. I think it's crazy for me to leave home from the UK and then travel all around the world. But when I told them about the idea, they were more than all for it. They said, "Look, it's one of those opportunities. You just have to go for it. You may look back in years' time, and if you don't go, you would regret it." So yeah, they were fully on board, and obviously you can miss your family. That's a very big part of being here. But we have the internet, and I phone home a couple of times a week. We can have video calls, so I know it's not the same as being in person, but it's I can still communicate with them, and I'm only a 9 hour flight away if I need to go home, so it's
Hmm.
not a problem.
And is Venezuela kind of your first Latin America experience?
This is the first time I've been out of Europe. Was coming here to South America and Venezuela. Yeah, so definitely my first Latin America experience.
Man, talk about jumping off the deep end.
That's what I know that was exactly what I thought. It's just I had an opportunity, and I just thought, fuck it, let's just go for it and let's see what happens, and that's how I'm here.
Yeah, because Venezuela is not a beginner destination. It's not Mexico. It's not Colombia. It's not Argentina. It's a different level.
Mm. You know what? I probably never really even heard of Venezuela a few years ago. When everyone used to think of Latin America, you think of the big countries like Brazil, Argentina. You don't think Venezuela, but again, I think that's what probably appealed as well, because it was so uncommon. I just thought, I like to do things that nobody else is doing, so I just thought, fuck it, let's go to Venezuela to see what happens.
And had you spent significant time in Spain prior to moving to Venezuela, or was Spain something like, how much time have you spent in Spain and in Madrid?
So I went to Madrid for 3 weeks, then back home to the UK, and then I went back to Madrid again for 3 weeks. So it was probably in total that's 6 weeks I've spent in Madrid, and then we come back to the UK, and then it was just make the decision of, do we want to really stay in the UK or do we want to stay in Madrid? And I do like Madrid, but again, there's a lot of other different types of issues when it comes to taxes and all this stuff, and getting residencies. So I thought, fuck it, let's go Venezuela, let's try South America, and let's see what the fuss is all about.
So I'll come back to residency later because you know that that's a focus of ours at My Latin
Yeah.
Life. But tell me a bit about, like, so you brought your girl to the UK. Did she enjoy the UK? Was she not, maybe not a fan of the weather, or what was her vibe or mood when she was in the UK?
Yeah, so we come back to the UK. We spent 3 months in the UK. It was just we come back in for Christmas and for her to meet all of the family. So we were there at the coldest time of year. Now, as you can imagine, as a Latino who's from Venezuela, spending 3 months in the UK at the coldest time of year, it didn't go down too well. But as a whole, she enjoyed the UK. It was just didn't really enjoy the weather. She didn't enjoy the food. Funnily enough, she said something about so I've never noticed this because I've spent all my life in the UK. She says that the meat in the UK, it does not taste like meat. Now that was news to me. I've never heard of that. But since coming to here to South America, when I taste steak here, it tastes completely different than back home. So I think in the UK they must put some sort of bullshit chemicals in the meat or something because here the meat just tastes so much better. And that's it. That's one of the big differences I've noticed is food as well.
Yeah, and we can talk about meat for a second because it seems to do very well on Twitter as content.
Mm.
All the guys posting about Paraguay and Argentina, and they post the meat and the steaks, and it gets a lot of engagement. So you talked about how cheap it was. Um, was that yeah, like I don't know. Talk to us about meat in Venezuela.
So just for context, now obviously because I've my whole life has been around the gym for over a decade, so I've spent a lot of money on food and protein, as I said before. So, for example, let's say back home in the UK, if I wanted to go and buy a kilo or 2.2 pounds of, let's say, sirloin steak, that would probably cost me about $30, $35, and the quality of meat is shit. Here in Venezuela, if I want to buy the same amount, so what will cost me $35 in the UK will cost me $8 here, and it's so much better. So for me, it's mind blowing how much the food is better here and the price. So it's just a win win situation.
Hmm. And did you introduced your girlfriend to like the, I forget what they call it, but like the British breakfast with like the blood sausage and all that?
The English breakfast, yeah, the sausage, the bacon, the egg, and the what do we call it? We call it black pudding. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was a fan. She was a fan of that, but
Oh yeah.
it doesn't beat the Venezuelan plantains for breakfast. That's the plantains, arepas, and eggs. That's the go-to breakfast here.
Yeah, I believe it. Um, yeah, it's funny. I thought the meat would be like okay in the UK. Like as soon as you get out of London and everything, it's just all basically farmland with like sheep and everything.
But I think it must be something to do with the way they raise the cows because the meat it really does taste different when you come here. And as you said, my girlfriend, she noticed it straight away. So again, but because I've grown up in the UK, I'm never going to notice a difference. But with being here, it just tastes different. I don't know what it is.
And then the meat is one thing, and then I think the fruit and vegetables is another thing. You probably have been able to introduce a lot more fruit and vegetables into your diet.
Well, everything over here as well. The you go into the fruit market and everything is dirty. The fruit and the vegetables, they are all misshaped. Nothing looks perfect. Whereas if you go home in the UK, all of the fruit and vegetables, it all looks plastic. It all looks too clean and nice to be real, and that's the problem because it's just pumped with all synthetic shit chemicals back home. Whereas here, it literally is just picked from a farm in the middle of Venezuela, and it's not contaminated with any shit. And it's just the food. As I said, the food as a whole here, everything is just so much better. The tropical fruits as well, the watermelons, the mangoes, papayas, everything. So yeah, we're always in that fruit shop here.
Yeah, that was one of the first tweets that really impacted me that I saw of yours, where It was a pretty straightforward tweet. Maybe you could explain it to people if you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it was a picture of the fruit market here. So everything is it's like it's just picture a big room, and it's just there's bananas and fruit hanging everywhere. The shop is dirty, the floor is dirty, all of the fruit has got dirt and soil. Just it looks a mess. Whereas if you compare the UK, it's very nice and neat and tidy. The all the food is pre-packaged and nice little neat packages. But it's as I said, it's just all pre-packaged shit contaminated with chemicals. With here, it's just all natural fruit and vegetables. Just it's plucked from the ground or from the trees, and it's literally just put in a big box and then just served in the fruit shop. That's it. They don't do nothing to it. So it's just very different to what I was used to, but I'd much prefer it the way like it is here. It's just more natural and just healthier.
Yeah, definitely. And what kind of response did you get from that tweet? Because that was one of the only few mentions I feel that where you kind of like really showed kind of life in Venezuela. Is that and obviously it resonated with people.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't even know what plantains are. Like I didn't even know what plantains were. You go back 18 months ago, I didn't have a clue what some of these fruit and vegetables were. But a lot of people were asking me, what are those big yellow things and green things? And I had to explain that they're plantains. And but there was a good reaction from it. People were shocked, as if to say, "Wow, like this is the way actual fruit and vegetables should look compared to what it looks like back home in the UK and the States in supermarkets." So again, I think it was an eye opener for people.
Hmm. Yeah, and do you think in the future, maybe this podcast, it's a step in this direction, but do you think you're going to start showing more and more of life in Venezuela?
I'll have to. I'll have to try and take some more pictures and videos. And yeah, I'm an open book. I'll talk about anything on here on Twitter, but mainly my content is just it's around fitness and trying to help people on that front. But again, if anyone has any questions to do with Venezuela, I'm happy to answer anything, and I'll have to start posting a little bit more content on it.
Yeah, Francis, man, it's honestly stunning that you got to 40K followers basically just in the UK, and now you're just about to crack 50K, and you really like don't talk about Venezuela much at all, and it's just really all about the powerlifting, all about the working out, training, and everything like that. And man, I feel like if you started just incorporating it a bit, made it like sort of 20% of the content, something like that, like your account's gonna go crazy.
I'll have to start talking about it more. It's just the way I looked at it was, in order for me to be able to come and live here in Venezuela, it was the coaching business and the fitness and everything. That's what took off, and that's what allowed me to be here. So I'm very focused on trying to continue to grow that, but I will start having to throw in some more tweets on on South America and Venezuela.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So how's your Spanish these days?
Let's say I could probably get myself out of an emergency, but that's it. Like I'm not the best. I had a call with, I think you'll know Eddie. I think he's on a podcast with Eddie, War on Weakness.
Yeah, Eddie Kwan.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I spoke to him. He's in Colombia. I spoke to him about 6 weeks ago, and I was telling him that I use Duolingo, and he said, "Nah, that's shit. You need to find something else." And he linked me to something, and I forgot what he linked me to. But yeah, my Spanish isn't great, so I still need to brush up on that. So I don't know if you can help me with that. Is the any direction you point me in to get better?
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely tell you offline. I think. Yeah, I think you're gonna have the most interesting Spanish accent ever heard.
Yeah, I know. Well, even when I try and say some things here, like everyone laughs at me because I have like a distinct accent even in Spanish. So it is what it is. We'll learn eventually, though.
Yeah. All right, man. So, Francis, how about we get into a couple of the questions that we got? I guess for context for anyone listening, I just basically tweeted out saying that Francis was going to be on the podcast, and received a bunch of questions from people about questions that they wanted me to ask you. So the first question is, I'd like to hear more about getting money and buying things while inside the country. So, how do you get like the Venezuelan currency? Do you go to an ATM, or what do you do?
So again, this is where Venezuela is it's in a transition period now. What they've done especially since I've been here over the last 6 months, you're allowed to pay with things using dollars. Now you could not do this over a year ago. You could only purchase things here in Venezuela in their currency, which is called bolivares. I think I pronounced it right, but that's their currency here. So you could only pay with that. Now everywhere is accepting dollars. So ATMs are non-existent here. I've never seen an ATM, so everything is via card. I use a card from back home. It's called Monzo. So
Hmm.
I have my money in a bank account back home, and I transfer it to Monzo, and then I can pay with cards here using dollars. So that's how I pay for things. In terms of getting cash here, for me, we know a family friend who owns a shop, so I can literally send him $500 to his shop, and he will give me the $500 in cash if I need to actually access cash. A lot of people can't do that. I understand that, but as long as if you have an international card, you'll be fine here in Venezuela. So that's the payments side of things. In terms of actually acquiring things here in Venezuela, it's probably not the best. If you want the next up to date or the top of the range clothing and you wanted something new which is out, you're not going to be able to get it instantly. You can order online and it will be shipped in a box from the States to Caracas and then Caracas to here. But that may take 2 or 3 weeks and you have to pay like $70, $80 for a box to be shipped. So there's no such thing as Amazon next day delivery here. So that's one thing. If you want the most up to date things, there is malls that you can go to and you can buy things. As I said, it won't be the most up to date things. It may be things which are a year or two old. So that's if that was a barrier for someone, I would say it's not the best to get the most recent things here. But for me personally, I don't care about that shit. So that doesn't bother me. So I've been fine.
What percentage of stores or places accept card? If you go to a bar, do they accept card?
So when I first come here, it's like Venezuela has went through a big transition over the last 6 to 8 months. So when I first come here, they didn't accept my card in all of the places. So 50% of the places I went to, they wouldn't accept it, and then 50% would. So it was a pain in the ass. But now, again, I've got my card from back home. I have cash, and I also have another Venezuelan type card here. So now I have no problems with payments. They accept dollars and international payments now a lot more readily across all of the stores. So I think again that's where Venezuela is. It's slowly getting better, and they are getting more accustomed to accepting international payments and dollars. Whereas a year ago they definitely did not, but it's getting better.
Okay. And when you say that you can pay with a Venezuelan type card, if you don't mind me asking, like what is that?
So it's a card called Zinli. It's not like a bank account. I can't open a bank account here just yet. I have to use Zinli. So it's just like should we say like a transfer wise? It's like the transfer wise version in
Mm,
Venezuela. It's called Zinli.
okay, okay. How do you spell that?
Zinli. Zinli.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And that's interesting that you're saying that just in the past 1 year to 6 months, you're seeing a lot of transition because I think a lot of the people that might be listening to this, those are the nuggets that they want to hear about. They want to hear about improvements. They want to hear about sort of opening up to the free market and everything. And so you're saying that the US dollars are starting to be more widely accepted, and that I guess Mastercard and Visa are more widely accepted as well, and that's a transition that you're seeing happen in real time.
Yeah, as I said, when I first come here, it was like stepping back in time. They wouldn't accept any of that. But over the last 6 months, it really has. It's made big strides and just actually becoming modernised. Because as I said, it was like stepping back in time, where they didn't accept no cards. There was no ATMs. It was crazy. But now it's different in such a short space of time. With the 8 months that I've been here, we're in a much better situation now. They're even the roads and the everything around. The government, I think, is putting a little bit more money into the place. They are painting the roads, they are painting the road signs. Everything is just getting cleaned up. Because when I arrived here, it didn't look like that. There was nothing happening, but now it's getting better. So that's a positive sign.
And when you talk to people, the Venezuelans, do they have you asked them like why things seem to be improving, and do they have an answer to that?
Well, the only Venezuelans really I can speak to is like my girlfriend's family, and they've just said that they don't know the reason, but it's definitely it is getting better over here, and they don't know why. But again, it's only a positive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So this was, I guess, an inevitable one, and not my favorite question, but it has to be addressed, which is safety. So, yeah, maybe you could just talk briefly about safety.
Well, again, before I come here, all I heard about Venezuela was that it's dangerous, that I'm going to get kidnapped, I'm going to get my head chopped off as soon as I land in Caracas. Nothing like that happens whatsoever. I just think that's just a lot of fear mongering by people. From the short time I've spent here in South America, it's like I think it's just like everywhere you go. It's you need to be careful. Like if I was walking around the street in the UK at night, I need to be careful. If I was walking around here at night, of course you need to be careful. It's just like everywhere you go. But the whole safety thing was if people think you're going to get shot and robbed, and no, it's none of that stuff. I've been here for 8 months and I've seen absolutely nothing. I haven't been in danger once. I haven't seen anyone try and do anything crazy like that. So no, I think it's a myth.
You haven't even had any run-ins where people try to test you?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. That could probably be because I'm 6'4" and jacked, but I've had nothing to do with that. No run-ins with anyone.
And in Merida, where you are, do you feel like you can walk around at night, or once night sets, like you're not trying to be outside?
You could walk around here at any time. There is not a problem. As I said, that I haven't felt in danger at once any time that I've been out. Now, obviously, there is going to be places in every city you go. There will probably be a place here that if I was to walk around there at midnight, it's probably not going to be the smartest move. But that would be the same back home in the UK or back home in the States or Canada, wherever you are. There's certain places in every place in the world that you're not going to walk around at night, like flashing your phone and flashing cash. That's just like, it's common sense. So I don't know what people expect really.
Hmm. No, it makes sense. And I guess just to like get a feel for it, like do you go to the gym and walk home from the gym when it's dark out?
I go to the gym every morning around 11 a.m. So the sun's always cracking the flags. And again, I've never had an issue. I always go for an evening walk around 7, 8 p.m. So when I finish this podcast in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'll go for a walk, and it's going dark now. And it's completely safe. Nothing to worry about.
And are you in like a private community, or is it just like normal streets?
Just normal streets.
Interesting. Um, okay. Dude, that's awesome. This is sounding better than I thought.
Why, what did you expect? Did you expect that it was going to be dangerous?
Well, and I guess for comparison, how dangerous is Liverpool?
Well, it's just the same as here. Again, like if I was to go and walk around Liverpool at 10 a.m., at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night, I would still be cautious. I would have to, you have to have your wits about you. You're not just going to walk around like a oblivious idiot, like nothing is ever going to happen. It'll be the same here. You've always got your guard up anyway, wherever you go. So it's just the same as Liverpool to me here. No difference.
Do you feel like when you enter a store, you go to a restaurant or whatever, do you feel like, well, you must obviously be treated differently as an expat? Like, how has the reception been?
I haven't felt like nobody's treated me with disrespect or anything like that, or but everybody looks at me like I'm an alien because, as you can imagine, there's this big 6'4" jack dude walks into a restaurant or the store. Nobody's seen anything like it, so everybody is just looking at me, and everyone is nudging their friend next to them to say, look at him, who's he? Like that's what happens all the time. But there's never been any sort of disrespect or anyone who wants a confrontation. People genuinely just look at me like in shock. It's like who's this dude?
Dude, this is the best podcast ever. Do you drink?
Occasionally, I will, maybe like once or twice a month, I'll have some wine or something like that. Obviously, when I went to Margarita, but not all the time. No.
And like, have you gone to party in Venezuela and Merida? Like, have you gone to a nightclub and the reggaeton's blaring and you and your girlfriend are dancing and all that type of stuff?
We've been to restaurants. We've been past them crazy places, but I don't think that's not my vibe at the moment. Maybe a couple of years ago you might have seen me in there, but right now, no. I take it quite easy. We go to a restaurant and we just chill.
Okay. And do you ever go to places where you're just like sitting down, like drinking beers? Like, I don't know, maybe there's like those like big bottles of beer and stuff like that. Everyone's hanging out, music's pumping. It's not like dancing, but you're kind of sitting around and it can get like places like that in Latin America can get a little sketchy. Like, do you find yourself in those environments or do you avoid stuff like that too?
Yeah, I mainly avoid stuff like that. I'm not that type of person who's into doing that all of the time. But in Margarita, there was places like that, and obviously I was on vacation, so we had a good time in Margarita, and it was a good vibe with them types of places. And the Venezuelans know how to party. Let me tell you that. I can tell you that for sure. They love it.
What's been your experience partying in Venezuela and what different, or just kind of hanging out at restaurants or whatever? And what have you noticed different about sort of the social life in Venezuela versus back home?
I think everybody, I'd say, as a whole, the average person here just seems just happier, even though they don't have a lot of money. Like everyone is they sit on the streets and they're sitting there with their bottle of beers, and there's like old men in the 60s, and they're all just sat on the step outside with some beers. They're always saying hi. And back home in the UK, you don't have none of that. It's just everybody is just miserable. The weather is shit. The food is shit, and it's just you hear. And I think because of the weather, because it's so good, and maybe people don't have a lot like personal possession wise, materialistic wise, but I just think people are happy. There's a big culture of family here in South America. That's what I've noticed, and I think people just have more traditional values here.
How many tios and tias have you met and abuelitas and cousins?
I've met them all. They keep seeing to coming from every corner where you can find. There's more people to meet. It's like crazy, and everyone's talking to me in Spanish, and I can understand certain words, and they're hugging me and kissing me. It's like fucking hell. This is a. It's not like this back home. It's a different vibe. The people here. They like to touch you, whereas back home in the UK, people are a bit more. If you meet someone, it might be a handshake, and you're a little bit more standoffish. They like to say people from the UK are more cold, but here it's none of that. Everyone is just coming in for big hugs and kisses on the cheek. They just love it.
And have you noticed the English level is pretty good, or like among the cousins and stuff like that, or?
What I've noticed is the younger cousins, so 20 and below, they all know English, but it's the older people, if they're above 30, 40, and like the mums and dads, the aunties, uncles, the grandmothers, grandparents, they don't know English, but all the younger ones do. So I think they must all be getting taught in school. But yeah, the younger people know English nowadays, but the older ones they're still stuck in their old ways.
And the younger ones, is it like how good would you say the level is of English?
I'd say it's pretty good. A good 7, 8. out of 10, they can have a very good conversation with me. Even with my accent, they can understand me and have a good conversation with me. So that's extra bonus points.
That's awesome. And so the cousins just keep coming out of nowhere, out of the woodwork.
There's just so many of them. The family's just huge.
And are the broy ones like in their 20s and early 30s? Are they like trying to get you to like drink or play soccer, play football, stuff like that?
Yeah, the big thing here is Venezuela is rum. They always want me to drink rum. That's what they want me to do. And they
Hmm.
love when you do gather around with them. They like to play cards. I don't know what the game is like. They play, but they're sitting there drinking rum and playing cards. That's what they love to do.
And have you been trying to learn the card game?
No, I just I don't know what the fucking game is, so I just I just leave them to it.
And so is it always rum, or there's also aguardiente, which is big in Colombia? Do you see that as well?
I haven't seen that, but what everyone drinks here, it's either rum, beer, or red wine. That's all everyone drinks.
And do they assume that you're like a big beer drinker because you're English?
Yeah, there is a big thing with beer and the UK. I think it's the binge drinking culture, but yeah, they assume that I'd love beer, but I actually prefer red wine if I'm going to drink. That's my go-to.
Mm. And if you don't mind me asking, so people probably are really curious about the monthly costs and the cost of living and everything like that. Um, yeah, could you give us maybe a breakdown of your monthly costs?
I'd say per month I probably spend around I'd say $1,500 on, let's say, food and rent and gyms, everything together. So yeah, around $1,500. Rent is around $200 for this place where we are. Food is just over 1,000 a month, and that's living well. That's eating all the steak that we want. That's kilos of meat every single week. All the fruit and veg that we can have. Just everything. All the coffee. It's just that there's no sort of penny pinching and I know we can't afford this. Just whatever we want to do. It's all there, and it's all done and dusted within easily $1,500 a month.
And so for your $200 place, are you like renting a house or is it an apartment?
It's an apartment, so it's a 6-story apartment, and there's probably 12 buildings on one side, 12 in the next, and there's the big security guard and gate on the front, and we have the bottom apartment with the garden, as I mentioned before. We've got the garden and the place for a barbecue and the flowers, plants. So we've probably got the best one here in the building.
And is there like a doorman at the front? Like, is there security or?
Yeah, there's a doorman at the front, so there's two of them, and they take like 24-hour shifts, and you to get through there, you have to get through the gate and obviously get through their watch.
And are you like, do you try to be bros with the guys and give them a slice of pizza or whatever?
Yeah, we're on good terms with the watchman, and obviously when Christmas comes around, I'll probably stuff him a few dollars to say good job.
Good stuff. So 200 bucks a month, nice apartment with the garden, 1,500 bucks. That seems to be like the going number, I feel, in Latin America is like 1,500 bucks a month.
And as I said, that's comfortable as well. That is not like penny pinching and trying to save money. That is just like we just buy whatever we want, and yeah, that's just comes to around 1,500.
And do you feel, and sorry if this is a touchy question, but do you feel like people are like a bit like desperate or that maybe some of the cousins kind of want to ask you for money or anything like that? Or does everyone kind of feel comfortable with what they have?
Oh, everyone's comfortable with what they have, and yeah, I don't get any vibes like that. No, everything's fine.
Like, do they ever like sort of drop their jaw at how much you spend on steak?
I don't think they really know. I think if they did know, they would drop their jaw. They would probably shit their pants if they knew how much I spend on steak. But I don't tell them that.
And is it all steak, or are you like mixing in like chicken or other type of
Oh,
stuff?
it's mainly just steak. It's literally just sirloin steak, picanhas, T-bone steaks, ground
Mm,
beef, and every now and then we get some shrimps, and that's it. Not much chicken. It's all just red meat.
okay. Do you drink coffee?
Yeah, it's one of coffee. I must have like 4 or 5 cups a day.
Wow. I imagine it's pretty good. Like that is kind of a coffee growing region of Venezuela, right?
Yeah, the coffee here it's really good, really good stuff.
So break us down your like daily routine just a little bit. You wake up, maybe you have the coffee, you do some work, go to the gym. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously everything I do is based online with working with clients and obviously posting training content, fitness content on Twitter and social media in general. So I wake up around 7 a.m. and we get up and we go for a walk. The sun is always it's cracking the flags at that time of the morning. So little 40, 50 minutes of sun on our morning walk, come home, have breakfast, then I'll do a little bit of work for an hour on the computer, respond to clients, respond to the emails, all that stuff, and then I'll go and train. That training will take about 90 minutes, something like that. Come back, and then it's just about I work on my computer again then for maybe another hour or two, whatever I have to do, creating content, creating tweets, just getting everything on order with clients,
Hmm.
and it's basically just doing the same stuff consistently every single day like that. But it's what I love to do, and it's just it's good. I can live this life living from a computer. It's crazy.
And when you go for your morning walk, is it like in the streets on cement, or are you going for like a hike somewhere?
It's on the streets on cement, just basically around neighborhoods.
Okay. There must be like some dope hikes around with like waterfalls and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, we've been up the mountains like twice, but we haven't went fully all the way in because the Andes mountains they're fucking huge. You obviously know that, and there's been there's been many incidences in the past where when people walk too far into the mountains, they get lost and they've died because they haven't found their way back. So to actually go walking all the way into the mountains, you need to go with people who know the route and actually know which way they're going because if you walk in and you take that wrong turn and you've walked an hour or two into the mountains, you don't know where
Hmm.
you're going. It's
Hmm.
you can only imagine what can happen. But where I have walked so far, it's crazy. You just get engulfed by the mountain, and it's just yeah. There's some crazy places to go on a hike here.
And it makes me think like, does Google Maps or Apple Maps like work correctly?
And once you get into them mountains, no, it's
But
you're
but
on
yeah,
your
but
own.
like in like when you're in Merida, like in the city, like does the mapping work?
Yeah, that works now. Again, it didn't work like when I first come here. It didn't really work too well, but now it is. So again, it's like they've updated it and it's starting to work properly.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
even just let's just say you wanted to, figure out a how to walk to the mall like 20 minutes away. Like could you put that into Google Maps and like figure out which street to take or
yeah, you'd be able to do that now. I wouldn't when I come here, but now, yeah,
interesting. Okay, another anecdote for everyone about how things seem to be improving.
it's crazy. Yeah, again, it's like it seems like it's a different place from when I first come here to where I am now. It's definitely changing for the better.
It's funny because yeah, did you just like wake up one day and your phone started working a little bit better or it's more gradual than that?
It was a little bit more gradual. When when I was back home in the UK and we were trying to search like where we'd be moving to, where the apartment would be, you couldn't even tell the names of the shops and the streets that are around here on Google Maps. It didn't really show. But
Mhm.
since I've come here now it has the details of every little place, has the names of all of the roads, all of the streets, all of the shops. It's like it's upgraded massively.
Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear. Okay, another random question here. What is your favorite arepa?
Favorite rapper? Well, as far as I only know, there's only one, and they make it with it's called Panflower, I think. I don't know the full details, but
Hmm.
yeah, a rappers are too good. You can stuff all sorts of meat in them and eggs, and yeah, it's just great. Really is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you put like when your girlfriend makes it, does she put like cheese in it? Does she put or just like plain or?
Yeah, so you can. Yeah, they love cheese here. By the way, that's another thing. They so yeah, in the peppers they just fill them with meat, like pulled pork. It can be pulled pork and chicken, and then cheese. And sometimes they put eggs in them. Things like you can put certain veggies, black beans, all this stuff. They just put all sorts in it, and it's always delicious.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, so a little bit about Merida. I'll just hit you with a couple random things. Have you been to the Museum of Science and Technology where they have
No, I haven't been.
dinosaurs and stuff?
No, I haven't been, but I've heard about it.
Have you been to a concert?
No, not yet.
Have you seen like a band play like just like in a small bar or something?
I haven't seen a band, but I've seen like obviously local karaoke singers and small, very small bands when I've been to restaurants. I have seen that, but no big famous bands, nothing like that.
Right, 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 right. Have you been to the sports complex Cinco Aguilas Blancas?
Yeah, we walk past that every night on our evening walk. It's like a big Olympic training complex, but it's
Hmm.
been abandoned. It's so I think Venezuela, the government made this. It has the sign there. It says 2005, so that's when they built it. It's literally a big Olympic complex with like there's like six big sports halls and where they used to do everything from fencing, gymnastics, weightlifting, judo. It was literally an Olympic training complex. They have tennis courts. They just have everything there, but it's been
Hmm.
abandoned, and that's what's crazy about it. There's so much potential with it, and they don't utilize it. They don't use it because obviously the situation here and what happened. But it's crazy to see such the big facility like that just just like derelict and not being used. But hopefully that could start being utilized again.
Hmm. And that seems to be right beside the Metropolitano de Merida, which is like the big soccer football
Yeah,
stadium.
yeah, it's literally like right next to it. So I come out of the apartments and we can walk there within 10 minutes. That's where we walk every evening on our walk, and there's always games on there. I still haven't been to a game yet, but I am gonna go. Apparently, sometimes they just give free tickets out as well, so I'll have to go down and see.
Okay. And it seems like right near there, there's a pretty well regarded restaurant called Al Palato, which is like a pizza place or something. Do you know about
Oh,
that one?
Palato? No, I haven't heard of that. I'll have to ask the girlfriend about that one.
All right, no worries. And so we have a city guide to Merida, Venezuela on mylatinlife.com. We have city guides to over 100 cities in Latin America. And in the guide, first of all, it talks about how the weather in Merida is like perfect, right? Because it's up in the mountains. Speak to like, do you enjoy the weather there?
So as a whole, the weather is good, but recently, over the past couple of months, we have thunderstorms overnight. But so around this time, 7 8 p.m., sometimes you can get thunderstorms, and because we're right in the mountains, it's like I've never heard thunder and lightning like it. It's just extremely loud, and the lightning rays they're very strong, and but that's just overnight, and most of the time throughout the day, the weather is fine here. It's always hot, and the sun is always
Because
shining
it's
bright.
like 18 to 24, like all year long.
Yeah, and it's 18 to 24 around now, and then as we get closer to Christmas, which is weird for me, it's the hottest time of the year. Apparently, around December, January here, which
Mm,
is what I'm not used to that being back home. That's when it's the coldest time. So it's going to be weird being here for Christmas with the Christmas tree when it's like 25, 26 degrees out.
right. Right. And it's a big like nature place in terms of like outdoor activities. So in the city guide, it talks about how there's horseback riding, canoeing, there's a cable car ride, hiking. Have you done anything with horses?
I haven't done nothing with horses, but that's what's crazy about here. You always just see random horses just walking around the streets and things like cows. They're just it's crazy. You'd never see that back home. There's just horses and cows just walking along the roads. The
Yep.
cable cars, I haven't been there, but we plan to go there over the next couple of weeks as Christmas gets closer because they've started to open that back up again. It was closed for a few months, but now it's opened again. So that's on the agenda to do over the next couple of weeks. The cable cars.
And so that you're saying the cable car was closed for a while and they reopened the cable cars?
Yeah, it was closed. I think they were doing some sort of maintenance or something like that, but it's opening back up again. So whether that is to do with the situation here, I don't know. But again, it's promising signs.
Okay, sweet. And I should have asked you this before when I asked about bars, but apparently the top nightlife area is called Avenida Cuatro. Do you have any have you heard anything about that area?
No, as I said, that sort of the nightlife thing that isn't for me. But again, I'll find out more about that for sure.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, I could keep going. I'm kind of like looking at the map of Merida, and there seems to be some cool stuff. Um, but I don't want to be too interrogative. Have you been to the cathedral though? The like in the downtown. The
Yeah, I've been past it. I haven't actually been in it, but we've drove past it.
you gotta check it out. You gotta go to a mass.
I know, maybe a Christmas mass.
It does seem that Merida is a city that does have a lot of parks and green space. Obviously, you have parrots in the background right where you are. Um, do you enjoy the sort of like the tropicalness of the city?
Yeah, it's as I said, it's a big culture change from what I'm used to back home. Back home it's just very in the UK it's very grey and just there isn't a lot of nature about. Whereas here, the weather is completely different. There's palm trees and the mountains are in the background. It's just feels so much more healthier and fresh being
Mhm.
involved in living in a tropical climate. It just feels good.
Do you think it's helped you like from a training perspective?
When I first come here, like obviously because Merida is in the mountains, my training was a lot more difficult for the first couple of weeks because of the altitude of actually being
Mhm.
in the mountains. So that was a big shock at first, but as I've got here and I've spent more time here and the body has become adjusted. Everything goes in hand in hand. It's the good weather, the good food, the actual natural sources of food, which isn't got lots of chemicals and shit in it. So everything is just it's blended in together to make me feel better in the gym and just about myself as well. So yeah, everything has just improved.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like what you're saying. I think is going to be inspiring to a lot of people listening to this. That you're able to kind of have a normal life and actually a better life in Venezuela than you were having back home in Liverpool.
Definitely, I think the only thing that will hold people back is whether they want to leave their family. I think that's a big thing. But I think if you can get past that, and there is another world out there for you to go and see. And I don't regret anything about coming here. Everything has improved from my training, my life in general, and my whole business. Everything has just improved since coming here. So that's that. If anybody is thinking about taking the leap, just go for it, because if you don't, you may sit back in 20, 30 years time and regret not taking the opportunity to go for it.
Do you think you could ever live in Liverpool or in the UK again?
No, I definitely we won't be living in the UK. I've already made that decision. My home is going to be somewhere in South America, definitely.
Do you see yourself moving to, I don't know, like somewhere in Colombia or Panama or somewhere where it's just like a little bit more stable?
We have thought about that, and obviously, hopefully, we're seeing the situation in Venezuela getting a lot better. So I'm happy here now, and I'm happy to stay here for the foreseeable. But obviously, again, I remember looking at your account months ago, and I was looking at all the different places where you were saying about residencies and all this stuff about Paraguay, Panama, all the different places. So I have got that in the back of my mind that if we need to sort of switch somewhere and go somewhere else, I have got that in
Options.
yeah, options. Basically, you always talk about the passports, the residencies, tax residencies. I'm always thinking about all of this stuff. I never ever want to be cornered and stuck into one box. So it's again, I like to have options.
And when you did your kind of trip to Isla Margarita, did that look like a place that was potentially livable? Because they do have a sizable city there, right?
Yeah, well, that's what was crazy about Margarita when we were there. Now, the island wasn't very busy compared to what it may have been 10, 15 years ago, because
Hmm.
apparently many years ago it was so busy and it was extremely popular. Obviously, but because of the situation here, people don't have the money to afford to fly to Margarita, so the island itself wasn't very populated, and there was apartments in the city centre of Margarita which you could rent them for $120 to $150 per month, and that was for like top of the range apartments in the middle of Margarita.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, that's very cheap for a very good apartment. Think about it, $150, and the food there is cheap again. You're right by the beaches, so it's definitely a place you could live 100%.
Yeah, and the main city on Isla Margarita is called Por la Mar. Por la Mar.
Yeah.
Um, And so, yeah, that could potentially be an option too. I think like a lot of the richer Venezuelans that want to stay in Venezuela, I think they either have a second house in Isla Margarita or they live there basically permanently.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people they have condos and apartments in Margarita, and I think the two main cities that people stay in Venezuela is Caracas, which is the capital, and the other one is Valencia. They're the two main places
Hmm.
where people will stay here in Venezuela. But yeah, Margarita was great. The time I spent there, I couldn't recommend it enough, and we'll definitely be going back there very soon.
And you were able to walk to the beach and dip in the water and everything, chill on the beach, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. We can literally walk 5-10 minutes to the beach. There's many different beaches in Margarita. I'm not sure whether any of the listeners will know, but there's like 5 or 6 separate beaches all scattered at different points on the island, and they're all slightly different. They all have different vibes about them. Some of them are more party style beaches. Some of them are more quiet, where you can watch the sunset, all that type of stuff. There are
Hmm.
different beaches for different vibes, which is good.
And I was going to ask this earlier. How did you actually get to Isla Margarita from Merida?
So from Merida, we have to take the bus through the mountains again, which it takes like an hour, 90 minutes, up and down through tunnels, all that stuff. So you go from here in Merida to an airport called El Vigie, it's like a very small airport here.
Hmm.
And you go from El Vigie, and it's like an hour flight to Margarita Island. So that's it.
Okay, so direct flight from El Vigía.
Yeah, direct flight from there.
Okay, that's not too bad. And sorry, I also have to ask the Wi-Fi or the internet in Merida and I guess in Venezuela in general. How has the internet been for you?
As a whole, it's been okay. I have had some slight issues where the internet may have dropped for like 4 or 5 hours for a couple of days, but it hasn't happened often. If I've been here for 8 months, that's probably happened like I'd say 4 times. So in 8 months, it's not too bad. But when the internet is working, it's perfectly fine. I've been able to run my business the way I have done, grow on Twitter, grow my coaching business, and I've been fine. A few small little annoyances, but nothing that has really impacted the business.
Right, right. Have you done a speed test? Like, do you know what your internet speed is right now?
I think it's around the download is around 80 or 90 megabytes per second, so it's not bad.
Oh, that's
It does the
legit.
job.
That's
Yeah,
totally legit.
it does the job. Yeah, it's especially if I go wired connection, it's probably a little bit more. So yeah, it's been fine.
Yeah, that's probably better than I have right now in Portugal.
The only thing was right when again this probably shows how the situation here is getting better. When I first come here, they used to cut electricity every night for like 2 to 3 hours. So from around 4 or 5 p.m. they would cut electricity, and they'd done that religiously every day for about 3 or 4 months. So when I first come here, they cut everything. I had to buy
Damn.
I had to buy like a backup machine, like it's like a battery,
A
and I had
generator.
to a generator. I had to buy that, and that was all I was interested in. Really was the internet and the internet connection and the router, all that stuff. I wanted that to be powered up and to work. I didn't care about the lights and all that stuff. I just wanted the internet to work so I could carry on doing my business stuff. So we got the generator and the battery for that, and we just plugged that in when the electricity was cut, so I could still work. So that was a minor inconvenience, but again, they haven't been cutting electricity for the last 3 or 4 months. It just hasn't happened at all. So again, it seems like the situation is just getting better.
Is the water drinkable where you are, like the tap water?
No, we need a filter. That's you can't drink. I wouldn't recommend drinking the tap water here. But even when I go to Spain and places like that, I never really drink the tap water. I've always just had filtered water or bottled water.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. And even when they cut the electricity, like if you just have a generator, the internet still works? Because yeah, I guess it's a different cable.
Yeah, if you have a generator, everything will work again. So there's different types of generators. There's like we've got a small one, which is like powered by a battery, which may last for like 6 hours. So as long as if you just power the internet up with that, it's fine. That's a small generator. People have huge generators. So people who live here, they have huge generators which cost over $1,000, and they can power up the whole apartment. So internet, the electricity in the whole apartment. So if you were here and that was a problem, you just could get one of them big generators and you'd be fine.
Interesting. And when did they stop cutting the electricity?
I'd say about 3 4 months ago. So the first 4 months when I was here, it was annoying. They were cutting the electricity every single day, and yeah, it was annoying. And but obviously we had the little generator to fix the internet issue, so we just made do with it and we got on with the situation. But the last 4 months they haven't cut it at all. It's very very rare, and even if they do, they cut it for 10 minutes and then it's back on. But it's very rare.
Mm. And yeah, do you find, Francis, that you're like kind of like looking at the news and like looking for, good news, good headlines about how, I don't know, like the US and the Venezuelan government are like talking again. Do you keep up with that, or are you just kind of seeing it happen in front of you and yeah.
I don't watch any sort of news. One, because I can't understand the language, so I don't listen to anything on the radio or on the news. So we don't have a TV here which plays the news. So I'm in my own bubble, just focusing on my training, building the business, and all that stuff. And I'm seeing what's happening in front of me now. I can just see from what's going on with the payments, the electricity, and the environment around me with the roads, the way everything is being cleaned up. I'm just seeing the situation get a lot better where I am now from where I first come here. It's changed dramatically. So again, that's only a good sign for what's happening here and what's to come.
Yeah. And so I think it's safe to say that all those sort of images of empty grocery store shelves, that's not the reality.
No, it's definitely not the reality. It might have been a few years ago, but it isn't now.
Because it sounds to me like pretty much the rest of Latin America at this point.
It's as I said, there is nothing to complain about when it comes to that sort of stuff. Everything is fine. The only thing would have been when I first come here would have been the payment situation was annoying, but now it's fine. They accept everything, so you can get everything you need. You don't go to the store and the shelves are empty. Everything is fully stocked, and yeah, it's just good to go.
Dude, everything sounds wonderful. This has been a really, really interesting episode. I think people are going to get a lot of value out of this. I guess while we're still recording, is there any other topics that you wanted to mention, or things that you wish I asked you about?
I'd probably say people may be interested in the residency and the tax residency, all that
Mm,
sort of stuff. To be honest, I don't fully know because I've just I've just rocked up here, and I'm just going with just seeing how everything goes and how everything plans out. Now, in terms with when you come here, they tell you that if you stay for longer than 90 days, you're gonna be arrested at the airport and all this stuff. That's not gonna happen. I've been to the local government office here. It's called SAIME. If anyone wants to know, it's SAIME. Now, I've been to visit them multiple times. Now, I can't extend my stay here officially because the situation in Venezuela, they don't have any documents to give that to expats or people like me. Some of the local people here can't even get a passport. That's how slow the situation is with the government and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
I was to if I wanted to stay here, they have nothing to give me. So I've been assured by the people in the SAME officers when I go to leave the country, all I will have to do is have to pay like a little bit of a tax sum, which may be a couple of $100s, and they will let me leave the country no problem. And if I want to come back into Venezuela, I just have to have a return ticket out of the country for within that 90-day period. So again, there's with South America, there's many loopholes around everything. It's South America, as we know, so things don't work the same as they would back in Europe and the US. There's more loopholes if you know the right people.
Yeah, if there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
And yeah, so you are officially applying for residency, right? To get a residence permit.
So they they can't give me nothing right now because the situation here that there is nothing to give me. All I can do is just leave the country and then come back and just pay a little fee when I leave the airport. If I wanted to get a residency here, I'd have to maybe think about marrying my girlfriend. That's what they told me. I'd have to marry in the UK, and then she would have to introduce me here to the Venezuela consulate, and then that would start the residency process. So that's one way to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see how the next year goes and how it plans out.
All right, no pressure.
But yeah, it's as a whole, it's great here, and you know I'm loving life here, and I don't have any plans to leave anytime soon.
And what's it like when you talk to like your boys back home, like your gym buddies, your beer drinking buddies? Like what do they say?
It's just I think a lot of them are in shock that I've actually had the balls to get up and just leave home and come here because it's unheard of. It's back especially back home in Liverpool. You don't hear of anyone just one day deciding right we're going to leave and we're just going to Venezuela of all places. It's just never heard of. So yeah, but when they see the results and what I'm doing with the business online and Twitter and the coaching business, they see and it all makes sense and everyone's happy for me.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. How can you not be?
It's
Um,
crazy, it really is. It's just how life has changed in a year for me. This time last year, I would not have thought I would be here. So it's just crazy. You don't know what's around the corner.
if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
27.
Oh shit, I thought you were older.
No, 27. I'm going to be 28 in 3 weeks.
What did you think what kind of like track were you on a couple of years ago?
So be basically my life just has like a before COVID and after COVID story. Like that's what sparked this whole Twitter journey, the whole online coaching business. It was the whole COVID situation because I used to coach in the gym in person. Now obviously they closed gyms down for all that bullshit reason and whatever. It was all a load of shit as we all know. They closed everything down and I couldn't work. I had no source of income because the government decided to close the gyms. So I was in a situation where I was forced into a corner and I had to do something. So I started tweeting content on Twitter and thought, right, I'm going to grow this Twitter account and I'm going to start offering coaching. That was my whole game plan, and that was over 2 years ago. I started with obviously no followers, and then I built up. I got my first 1,000, and then I got 5k, then 10k, and again everything is just grown. And as the Twitter account grew, the amount of clients I was getting grew, the business grew, and then we got to January of this year. Obviously, when my girlfriend was back home in the UK with me, and I decided just to go all in with the online business. I built it up over a bit of time. I decided to stop coaching in person and just put all of the chips on me, all the cards on me, and just go all in with the online business. Which then again, that opens up the opportunities to be able to come here and work from anywhere. So yeah, I took a couple of leaps of faith this year and really went all in with the online business, and then just coming to
Mm.
South America, and I've just went for it, and everything has turned out well. Business is the best it's ever been. Twitter accounts is just it's blowing up, and it's all because I just took the leap and just went for it.
Yeah, I'm actually new to Twitter as well this year, and I'm like addicted now, man. It's so cool to be able to connect with so many other interesting people, and sort of build relationships and kind of be part of the discussion. I mean, it's great, right?
This specific side of the corner of Twitter, the money Twitter, the fitness Twitter, we all think the same. It's like all the normal people around us and in our day to day life, they don't think the same. But then you come on this corner of Twitter, and you just see everyone is either getting jacked, everyone is making more money, people are leaving the countries, and they're working online. It's just everyone is just they're thinking different, and it's just good to be involved in a community of people like this.
Amazing, man. Yeah, that's pretty much a pretty good place to end it. Want to be respectful of your time. Um, Please, feel free to once again kind of shout out all your platforms and anything that you want to promote.
So, yeah, if you just wanna if you're interested in learning more about training, fitness, nutrition, just basically getting jacked in general, just follow me on Twitter. That's the main place where I am at Coach FHM. If anybody is interested in coaching and working with me directly, just shoot me a message on Twitter. I've also got a link in my bio on my website, francismelia.com. If you want to book a call with me, yeah, just find me on there, and we'll have a little conversation. But yeah, that's basically it, man.
Everybody, book a call just to hear Francis's sexy Liverpool accent again.
It's worth it just for that alone.
Well, dude, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, man. It was really interesting to hear about life in Merida and in Venezuela. And I honestly wish you all the best, man.
Appreciate it, man. It's good to let people know that Venezuela isn't as bad as it's made out to be, and if you find the right place, you'll be good to go.
Well, thank you for joining us. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast with Francis Melia. You can follow him, Coach FHM. And yeah, thanks again.